6 feet tall, that's my thing. Neatly head end, foot end with the Tarptent standing weather. Hello all, welcome to another video. It's great to be out. It's a beautiful day, still April, so not that warm yet, but what I want to do on this video is a review. I've only ever done one review before, which was on the Pomeroy mini stove, and that got quite a few views and quite a few good comments. So I'm going to do a review today on a couple of tents, plus also this mini inflation machine that's also doubles up as a sort of tent lantern. So I'm looking forward to having a look at that. The tents I'm going to review are very much the sort of mid-range. I'm a member of a number of sort of Facebook forums, bushcraft and camping forums, and a lot of people sort of speak about two-man tents and the pros and cons, weights, dimensions and so on. And I think there's very little sort of back to basics reviews of tents. So I'm going to take a look at two-man tents. I say two-man, one of them is advertised as a one-person tent, but from what I've seen of it, it's definitely got room for two. But when I'm talking about the capacity of a tent, if I buy a two-person tent, then I'm really buying it for myself plus my gear. And that's quite important, because I think if you buy a two-person tent with a view to using it for two people, unless it's particularly spacious, then you're going to have problems getting your kit either out of the elements or away from possibly other people that might be up to no good. So I think to use a two-person tent for two people, you've got to be pretty early on into a relationship. And therefore have a bit of space at the side still for your gear, if you know what I mean. I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, it's going to be a really simple review using familiar phrases. I see a lot of them that use inches, pounds, kilograms here and there, and all that data is available on the sort of specification spreadsheet that you can find on the internet. So I'm going to try and use sort of me as the yardstick. I'm just under 6 feet tall, about 179 centimeters, and normal sort of build, plus I'm going to use a Thermarest sleeping pad, which gives you a bit of an idea. A lot of people know the sort of size of that, and I'll try and relate it to basic sort of household items. There is the Nordisk Telemark 2. It says it weighs 950 grams. I'm afraid you're going to have to put these into imperial, anyone that's interested in pounds and ounces. It weighs 1,080 grams. I don't quite know whether they've sort of said the weight minus poles or something like that, but I'm interested in what the whole thing weighs. It's also comes with a footprint, which is another couple of 100 grams, which brings it up to sort of 1,280 grams. Now, I looked up a few facts on what weighs 1080 grams, and here you go. I was trying to get familiar objects. It's it's half a chihuahua. It's 3/5 the weight of a human heart. It's 5 hamsters, and it's 1/5 of a cat. It's just over a litre of water, really. That's how much it weighs. Size-wise, that's about a foot, 30 centimetres, and there are my hands. I've got normal size hands. And there is my shoe. It's about the same size as my shoe, which is a UK size 10. I think that's American size 11, Europe size 44. Listen to me without even looking it up. So there's the shoe, and there's the Telemark 2. And there is the footprint for it, should you wish to purchase that as well. It feels really, it just feels like it's not going to take, well, it's not going to take any space in the backpack. And for a two-man tent, if it works out to be that size, as in me and my gear, I'm very much looking forward to seeing this when I put it up. And here is the Tarptent Scarp 1. again, really light. This weighs in at just over 1300 grams, which is about the same as the Telemark 2 with the footprint. I don't know whether I think this will need a footprint or not. I'll have a look when I've got it up. See from the diagram there, it's a single pole construction. There are the options of 2 cross poles to make it stronger, but frankly, if I'm going out and testing my tent to such extremes, then I just won't be going out. I'll stay at home and do the crossword. I do understand that people do want to go out and test themselves, then I suggest you get the cross poles with it. But with this you can actually brace it further with a couple of trekking poles and pull out a couple of guy lines from these centre bits. But there you go, it again, it feels incredibly light. There's my shoe. So it's bigger pack size than the Telemark 2. What I'd do is I'd probably take the pole out, stow that on the side of my pack, and then crush the tent down a little bit more. What else? Here's the data on what weighs the same as a Scarp 1. Weighs the same as a human brain. It's 3/5 as heavy as a Chihuahua, half as heavy as a brick. It's 2 basketballs, 20 tennis balls, and 1/35 the size of a fully grown normal octopus. Here, again, a bit more than a litre of water. Same size, don't know, a Barbie doll and a half. Is it Barbie? I don't know, Frozen, something like that. No, made in Indonesia, doesn't say what show she's from. Anyway, there you go. Half a Chihuahua indeed. I hope you got some idea of the size, the scale and the weight of those 2 tents. So that's the bit you'll be interested in, about how it fits in a pack and how it suits you for your sort of how much you like to carry. But the most important thing is let's get these up now. I've started the stopwatch on my phone. This has never been out the pack, so there you go, it's all nicely done up. Pegs come in this really nice little zip bag with some extra guys as well, and I'm guessing a little bit of repair tape, repair sheet, but I tend to take some tenacious tape with me on camps in case of any rips. But that's a nice little addition. So the next thing to do is to peg it out. First bit is to peg out either side of the cross pole, and each corner has these braced ends to make a sort of box shape at the end, which I'm hoping will give a nice little bit of headroom. There's also a little loop, metal loop, which makes it quite clear where your peg goes in, and you can adjust the tension there. So I'll just put them in loosely for now. And the outer fly, let me just hope this is one of my pet hates. Yes, one of my pet hates is when they put these little ties and they're not on bungees. Some of them just have them as bits of tape that are, there you go, really difficult to get around with no give, and that's a really good quality bungee with a clip. It costs nothing to do that, even on the cheapest of tents. I can't understand the lack of bungees. But there you go, and so that's held in place there. This is a great looking little tent. It's one of these ones that it feels quality, like you feel like quality when you use a Hilleberg. And this, although it's ultra light, you get a feeling of I don't understand about sil nylons and the sort of different types of weave and so on. That's something beyond me, but also can be found in the specification sort of sheet with the tent. But yeah, already I'm thinking new favourite tent. So this is a good time, just before I pump the thermarest up, to have a look at this little pump I got. It's the Flextailgear Tinypump X, and it also has this little lantern in it. So a quick look at the lantern. With a long press you get to the dim, and then one more press, slightly brighter, another press, very bright, and fourth press it turns it off. I haven't looked at the instructions, but I think from what I've seen on the reviews is a double press. Yeah. And there's a little inflator. Comes with various nozzles to suit all your needs. I don't know what they're all for. I think this is the one I'm most interested in, which should be for the thermarest. So let's give it a go, and I'll start the timer. Oh, by the way, the timer on the Telemark tent was just over 5 minutes, 5 minutes 7 seconds. So from never having put it up before, I'm really pleased with that sort of speed. So that's the thermarest nozzle. Just undo that, and then this, the rubberized one, I think is for the thermarest nozzle. It seems to go well, and we'll pop that in there. And there we go. The only thing I've had to do as it gets to nearly fully inflated is just hold it in, because the back pressure wants to push it out. That is absolutely solid. So I can now turn that, which closes the valve on the thing. I can turn that off, and look at the watch. 1 minute 37 seconds, and that is as solid as I'll ever want it. That is brilliant. The beauty of using something like this is you're not using the condensation in your breath, which can rot the inside of what is quite an expensive sleeping mat. And also the inflation bag that I've got with this, it does take an awful long time and effort. So that, 60 grams, and absolutely brilliant. 11 out of 10 for that. So that's me. I'm just under 6 feet tall. That's my thermarest, and we'll put that in the tent. This is a really lovely tent. I would not want to be in here with anyone else. Not even when my children were much younger. But the beauty of it is these lovely boxed ends lift the inner right off your head, and also the same is at the foot end. And it has, that's clever, the bag that it sort of folded itself into neatly turns into a really handy sort of bag next to your head for like phone, all sorts of camera gubbins, whatever you want. So that's me at the end with this much space. You would get someone else in there, but as I say, you'd have to like them a lot. It's got a little loop here for hanging a lantern from, and I think it's really good. I'm just looking at the ventilation side of things. Just looking from the outside, the only ventilation from the inner to the outer is this piece of mesh here. It's a two-way zip, so you can unzip it from the top or the bottom, but that would be, I'd have to see how that worked when used in anger, but yeah, I think provided you kept a little opening here, then you should be okay. But that is a great little tent. And so I'll now move on to the Scarp 1. I'll put them sort of end to end and then hopefully take a picture of them from above so you get a really good idea of the size difference if there is any, and we'll review that. So whereas the Nordisk had these little metal eyelets to put the cross pole into, this has got sort of a nylon cup which looks a little bit like a shortcut to me. No doubt it's, when I can get it in, it's going to withstand the weather because it's a proven tent, but that to me I'd prefer to see just one of those little metal eyelets rather than this nylon cup, but we shall see how it fares. The ends, like the top tent, have got bracings already in, but they've got this sort of triangular structure, and also they're a bit higher, so you've probably got a little bit more of a high boxed area above your head and your feet. These are the pegs you get with the Tarptent Scarp 1. Altogether more substantial. They're about 7 inches long, about 18 centimeters. I don't like doing these handheld shots, but it's probably good just to give you an idea of a couple of things. My initial impressions are the Scarp 1 is bomb-proof. It is solid as a rock. I'll just show you. It's just got that really, it's just got that absolutely solid feel to it. These ties here, if you choose to get the cross poles to brace it even further for the worst of weather, but I'm a fair weather camper, so I don't think I'll be doing those. I can see that there might be a problem in the wind of these giving a little bit of a rattle, so I might work out some little technique of kind of folding these in and tying them back a little bit so that I don't get that rattle in the night. But I haven't opened it up yet, but it just looks, in comparison, see what I mean about the 2-person tent? That Scarp there is advertised as a 1-person tent, and I think we're going to get quite a surprise when we look inside at the size of the thing. But there you go. Again, you can pitch the inner with the outer at the same time. And this has got Velcro, which I mean, interesting. It's certainly better than having just a strip of cheap nylon. And that single strip there seems to hold the tent nicely open. You can get options of what are called solid, or I think it's semi-solid, but it refers to these, how much mesh is in. I guess one's either completely this nylon or a mixture of the two. I've chosen this. I prefer a bit of extra ventilation, and so let's have a look. There is bags of room in there. This is an amazing tent. I really liked the Telemark, the Nordisk, and yeah, I'm still not going to fault the Nordisk, but there are some features here that I particularly like. The ends, head end and the foot end, are a good 6 inches, 15 centimeters higher than on the Telemark, which is great for either just feeling a sense of space or also getting your kit in and you're getting everything around you. It's got some little pockets here in the ends, in the end corners, nothing too substantial. That's not quite as good as the Nordisk, which had that sort of internal bag that you could use. However, I use one of these disposable dog drinking bowls, which are perfect. I just have that next to my head where I put my phone, my car keys and so on in. I can already feel this is more airy with these, a lot more mesh around me, and there are ways and means at the end of the tent on the outer by lifting that up to cause more of a through flow of air, so I get the feeling there's not going to be a condensation issue with this. It's got a hook at the top for a lamp, and yeah, I think it's about the same width. I'll give you sort of a shot using the 360 camera, give you an idea of what it looks like inside. Same width as that previous tent, the Nordisk, but what gives you that sense of space is these lifted ends, which is superb. Yeah, and it feels absolutely bomb-proof. The other thing it's got is 2 doors. As I said, I'm not having anyone else in a tent with me, but think about it: sunrise, sunset, sunset, sunrise, whatever way you wanted it. So that's what I think is a really good feature. One pretty poor thing is, whereas the outside has that nice little Velcro strip to tie it up, this has just got 2 bits of very cheap elastic, which I will certainly change into a more substantial bit of a bungee with a hook. I mean, how much would it have cost them to go like that, tie it all in, stitch that in nicely, and a little hook on the other side? I can't understand that. But yeah, you've got your second door and you've got massive amount of ventilation. That made me feel like a real pilot. Hope those shots actually gave some idea about the size between one and the other. It's interesting how the Scarp claims to be a 1-person tent and the Telemark 2 a 2-person tent. I personally wouldn't put 2 people in either of them, but if I was going to, then I'd use the Scarp. So all in all, the review, they're both great tents, and if I had one of them, I'd be absolutely pleased and punished. I wouldn't care which one. With the choice, the Telemark 2 is tiny, it's lighter, and yes, it actually went up a little bit easier because those end pieces weren't as complicated. They're just a sort of a single pole as opposed to this V shape, which needed a little bit of messing around with. But it's the first time I put it up, so I'm sure as I do it time and time again, I'll get a lot more slick at it. So the Scarp took me maybe 10 minutes to put up for the first time, and the Telemark 5 minutes. The Telemark 2 is so well built. It's really light, but you can tell that they've cut no corners with the quality of the build and the quality of the materials. I like it a lot. The Scarp 1 is bomb-proof. I don't think you'd need those cross poles unless you're going to go out for some reason and absolutely test it to its tested strength, which isn't in my book much fun. You can use a couple of trekking poles to guy out the ends as well, which make it a little bit stronger. It's got those lovely boxed ends which are much higher than the Telemark, which just gives you this feeling of space inside. It's about the same width. It's got a second door, so you've got that sunrise, sunset, or one view, another view option. And if I was allowed to choose between the two, I would pick the Scarp 1. But it's made in America, it's only sold in America, really difficult to get hold of. If you get it here in the UK, you've got to pay import tax and the FedEx handling fee and all sorts of things like that, which really bumps up the price from starting at about 300, well, about 280 pounds. It really bumps it up to closer to 400, which brings it to the Telemark price. Telemark 2s are available at the time of this video, because the Telemark 2 Plus 2 LW has come out, and I would consider them just as good a tent. So rather than search around, pay your duty on your Scarp if you want to buy something that's made here, well, made in Europe as it were, and you can get in the UK without any extra taxes, they are about, but yeah, I would think if I could have the choice, then it would be the Scarp 1, but both excellent tents. I'm going to take them down now. I won't video much of it because taking down a tent is just taking everything out, folding it up and sticking it in a bag. I don't want to waste your time. But thank you very much for watching this review. I hope it's been reasonably clear. I try to keep it just in sort of plain speak, as opposed to giving you lots of facts and figures. So yeah, make some comments below. I'll be really interested in hearing your experiences with either tent, and also any bits that I've missed, and obviously any upsides of it and downsides. Anyway, thanks for joining me again, and I look forward to seeing you again.